win against Nokron, because I feel like if we have week 4, a little bit more than a third of the season, and no team has a perfect record, that would be exciting. But obviously, Nokron doesn't agree with me here, and therefore Zaka will try with Adiris to make the perfect performance here on the suffocation pit. And someone was asking earlier, a nice person called Rocco, if we can shout him out or them out on the stream here. We can do that. Rocco, you are really cool. And with that, we're going into the first trial of our amazing matchup here.
Yeah, and what better set to start us off than your favorite, right? Plague, of course, the killer that you love so dearly, and it's I mean, a killer that we see quite often, at least so far in Season X, but in general in comp, on Suffo Pit 1, a map that's highly scrimmed. And first chase onto Mathis already. We've seen pretty standard things. He's going over to the top side to set up his infections, and he's got his first chase. One of the things about Plague is having that good early setup to get your power sort of moving, spreading those infections. So of course, when you take that first corrupt purge, the survivor team are really having to play super careful, and quite often we see Plagues falter when they don't get that setup coming in. So I'm going to be looking very closely at how this early game goes and how Seraph can really combat that.
Now here, the pukes coming in. How quick can you get Jar to the broken effect? That's the question here. Loop is not optimal for Jar. We do not have a lot of line of sight breakers. You can just go and puke there. Zaka was hoping that the Stealth effect might come in, but Jar has in fact 40% more on the sickness meter, if you want to call it like this. And Jar getting a little bit bamboozled here. Nice mind game there. Was waiting a little bit too far towards Zaka. That's going to be the drop of the Shack Pallet now. Important resource. Leaving the trial. The other survivors grinding the generator. Socks my socks, and Zafis gonna get the first objective out. Always a good feeling when you get the first gen without taking it down a hook stage yet. On the other hand, it is kind of expected as and against the Plague here. So, but Zaka definitely fine with the 3 injuries, I think. The Thanatophobia looking strong there towards the later trial. He does, however, not really aggressively sticking to one survivor yet, which is an approach that we have seen on the suffocation pit before. He kind of carefully wants to pick the good first chase to get a good down, and it seems like now we are back onto Jar. And I think with this generator, yeah, we have a 3-gen down here. Definitely wouldn't be the worst chase to pick, but interesting that Acid is coming in as a protection here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be dying in that 3-gen if that's something that Zaka's going to be protecting. So I'm assuming that's why they went for the body block there, and it worked out. Acid actually avoiding an infection from that body block too. I'm going to take it now, but preventing it earlier and actually protecting Jar. That first chase going up into the top side, there was only really that pallet to work with. So good survivor coordination there to get him out of that dangerous area, and Zaka's not really able to build any momentum currently. We now have the 4th infection going, so that's going to be four stacks of Thanatophobia applied. And we found our first next chase onto Suck My Socks on the back on the top side. Got balanced landing, going to be keeping him safe for just a little bit longer, and ooh, just actually creeping a little bit closer to him, holding at this pallet, not going to give him the window for free. Does he make that? No, nice mind game from Zaka to go through the window. And that's going to be a down onto Sock My Socks. And we have 2 gens going. 3rd one on the way, Dyer.
Well, that's almost 4 minutes getting the stats in there. 3:54 for the first down. That is a very long run from Team Seraph here. Shout out to Toby, our tournament analyst, !Discord, in order to join the community and take a look at all of the stats from perk pick rate, 2 hook stages and survivors and much more. And you can also ask him questions directly. Back towards the shack here, Acid is going to be the next one in chase. However, with a great perk usage here, making sure that no danger is taken. Zaka faces a lot of difficult pallets against him. A lot of filler pallets have spawned down here on the suffocation pit. The midsection here with the jungle gym into the window. Definitely a pretty disgusting loop that you are not happy about. Zaka already setting up the email towards behavior there. Trying to get some more generous spawn, and unfortunate Acid not granting the down here. That's going to be a nice stun and a very important stun as well. You need that distance and you need that safety. But Jar leaving the generator a little bit too late, was potentially expecting that he could get it done and then hesitating. And that's usually not a good move. Unfortunately, going down right next to the generator with a lot of progress that might turn out to be punishing. And we see that the survivors therefore not willing to grant Zaka the slowdown on that perk. Fake coming in here on the window from Zafis. Worked half. That's going to be the vault.
Oh my God.
Vault. But Zaka sees the double vault. And what does Zaka do? He triple moves back and forth, dancing around the shack here, taking the down. In the meanwhile, quick pick up, because Zach, if we would have had a double down here, that would have been absolute bad scenario. So we can kind of breathe through. It's looking a little bit better again.
Yeah, I mean, Seraph really trying hard to break that 3-gen that Zaka so desperately needs to defend, especially after his weak early game, only securing it down after the first 4 minutes of the match. So, you know, that was looking very, very dangerous, and Zaka would have really have loved that little scenario there to play out in that 2-slug, because gets 2 hooks in basement, and then you're basically setting your team up for a 4K1, basically. But that's how that would have spelled out if they didn't manage to get out of the situation. But that is... I wonder if that's a spectator bug. It is, yeah. So we had a bit of a spectator bug. Zaka is not face camping. He's over there checking that corner gen that Jar was trying to work. But yeah, so now the tempo is sort of moved into the favor of Zaka. This next chase is going to be important because they're going to be looking to try and get the save. Also, again, just pushing these gens either side of this bottom side. So it's going to be a game of chess right now, I think, Dio.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? Because I feel like that wasn't needed, that Seraph is now in this situation. I understand why Jar wanted to really get the shack generator out of the way, because we now see what Zaka can do with a hook down here and the 3-gen right next to the shack. It is dangerous. Suffocation pit is known for the 3, potentially even 4 gens that can spawn here. So I get the idea behind getting that generator out of the way. I unfortunately just think that a little bit too much risk was taken in order to achieve that. And if it would have worked, they would now probably already walk out here. But with that risk being taken, it can also backfire in the same amount, and I feel like that's the case here. And I feel bad for Seraph, because it feels like they are getting, pretty harshly punished for an originally good idea.
Yeah, you just have to think that maybe they could have played it a little bit safer. Actually, be forcing grab here, maybe giving chance for the unhook to come through, which it does, forcing the grab so that he can't slug. And Zaphis is going to be able to safely make it out of basement, but it doesn't look like this will be a basement hook. We'll just be hooking next to logs here, and we have information on 2 survivors. Suck My Sock's getting pretty close there, almost in range of a swing. But compared to that last hook, they saved Zaphis from elimination. We have Acid on hook now in a much safer position, but someone's been found here in the corner. And if... Actually, wait, no, he's juking on the Z wall. Oh, he actually still has power. Just a tiny bit left of power.
Spits on an alt account?
Maybe, potentially. Is that going to land? It is! Oh, last second down. Just getting that last bit of armor, not being able to use the tree to actually dodge it out. But, yeah, Unhook comes through onto Acid. Now we have Jar hooked by this gen that he's trying to work. And yeah, this is really, I do wonder if we get a bit of an overextension here on the killer side. Yeah, very nice quick unhook coming through there to protect the teammates. And Zach is really, you can see he's really worried about these gens. He did ingest the corrupt purge on that bot side pool, and I do wonder if he has anyone close, another one close by, potentially to get a bit of a snowball rolling. But now the survivors seem to be back on their feet a little bit.
Yeah, when we look at the trial as a whole, right, after this almost 4-minute first chase where Seraph was performing really, really well, they have really chosen these T-balls here today. But after that almost 4-minute duration until the first down has come in, it was shifting the responsibility onto Zaka. Zaka was now in need to get a good mid-game. He was in need to get some downs. It was his responsibility to bring Nokron back. And now that has shifted. And now it's kind of Seraph in the responsibility to pull efficient gameplay here, to stay alive long, to run towards the top side, which is another aspect here. Seraph is just not able to. Zaka is either forcing trades or he's ending these chases so quickly that they have no chance going towards the top side of the suffocation pit here. Zaka is doing really well in calculating how much time the survivors have. Unfortunately, he's not as much calculating how long the final generator takes. So that's going to be the next hook stage onto Jar here in exchange for that final generator. And now we have to leave Jar behind. We cannot no longer control this hook stage here because the gates are on the top side. Will be interesting to see if Acid, Sock and Zaphis decide to even go for that save. Power coming out, so dangerous end game coming up. They are going for the save, absolutely understandable and a good decision if you ask me. They do have the time. Zaka has been spotted on the top side here, but Zaphis will now be hooked between the two exit gates. So Zach, we are far away from a happy end here.
No, exit gate going to be open actually ahead of time, and that Zaphis going down. So have to see if Zaka has time to cut off any rotation. It's going to take a corrupt purge. Sock My Socks is safe in the exit gate, and we've got our teammates cleansing now. So I would be very surprised if another kill comes through here or any further stages. Sock My Socks not cleansing, of course, because he is in the safety of the exit gate, but now it's about whether Zaka can actually find this rotation. If he finds the rotation, he can secure some extra stages. Seraph are going to have to play this pretty carefully because he is probably quite aware that they are on this side of the map, right? As we see right here, Acid hiding. Does have the life to work with, so that is a bit of a lifeline for him to make the distance, but that is a long way to run. A long, long way to run.
Yeah, Survivor here is hiding behind the tree because he doesn't want to be puked on by the plague with some acid. So he just goes into the assassin's mode. We see the second exit is ready to go. Yeah, Acid, the timer is running up there. And he has a crow. Yeah, that's rare to see. Usually we see the survivors, dropping the item in order to be considered active. And he has the Z-wall, of course. Can he make it to yeah, no, that's not going to work. Okay, so we are saying goodbye to Acid, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, not able to reach towards the top side, but 2 survivors will be fine leaving. That's going to be Sock and Jar walking out of the suffocation pit trial here. And that is a good result, I would say. I think it could have been a better result if this greed on the shack wouldn't have happened and kind of overthrowing their game plan a little bit and then forcing them also consequently into being in the position of a disadvantage, allowing Zaka to defend the hook stage inside of the 3-gen. But we have also seen a lot of Plague trials that are going a lot worse, especially on the suffocation pit. If you don't take care of the 3 or 4-gen early enough, and we have quite some teams that either didn't do that or got forced.
There's little room for error, I feel, in a set like this. But these survivors, of course, are very experienced. They've played the set, I'm sure, hundreds of times over their competitive careers. So if there's anyone to beat result like this, it's definitely Nokron survivors. But yeah, now Certify going into the bot side of the map in his corrupt zone. Does look like he has a bit of a 4-gen here, so that is one of the things that we, I guess, didn't talk about is the RNG, because you can sometimes get very close, concentrated generator setups, which also makes it very easy for the killer to find. But Ivan's now been found on the David with the green mohawk, speeding around this loop. Someone made a comment in the background, maybe it'll be a bit harder to see him in the affected state, but gonna take some vomit and an injury relatively early on. But we're chasing the corrupt zone, which is about where you want to take your first chase. Just gonna wait at the shack pallet, drop that one, and continue chase around potentially. No. Scratchbox actually going around the coal tower into the mid map, and we're about 60% of the way through corrupt. Ivan now taking chase for his team. Again, we had about 3 minutes and 54 seconds on the first down last time. So if you're potentially looking at a comparison, if we can get this early down, it's going to set Certify up quite nicely for this for this first set, I think.
Yeah, that's a great chase so far from Ivan here. We will have to see if that's going towards the 4-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen. For now, remember what Ivan always says. When he's on the 1v1 ladder, 3 fillers, 3 minutes. But unfortunately, that was even a jungle gym included and a chase time of 1:41. So the strategy of the legend, unfortunately, not working out in this first chase. That's a huge advantage for Seraph. That's basically 2 minutes difference already, which is the equivalent of a whole solo generator that lays there in the chase time. So fantastic start conditions for Seraph here. They're looking very strong with that first down. However, Zaka and Zynox making sure that the pressure is going into the generators. One of them has now the responsibility to rotate over. Nice switch from Certify here. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to puke on that one survivor, but now he will get an injury onto Zaka. We also have the infection there now transferred from Ivan, so that's going to help with the thanatophobia as well. How quick can we get the down here? We, on the chase time, purely talking about chase time, we basically need a strong chase from Ivan now to balance out the 2 minutes difference that we have from the early game. He has the pallet in the jungle gym here, has to drop that and Certify. Yeah, going to break that pallet. You don't really want a mind game here. You can lose a lot of time if that pallet is staying unbroken. That's the third survivor coming in now. Zynox also taking the infection, but the team now basically showing the same strategy as we have seen beforehand, making sure the hit is taken, a little bit of assistance, making it towards the main building, and a little bit of Deadlock Saloon vibes, right? The main building in Suffocation Pit has the power to really waste time. Also, the generator setup on the bottom side, that's a little bit of a loss here for Certify, giving up the pressure now, but he has to. He cannot follow into the main building if he wants to keep the generators. So I think this is the correct, yet a little bit of a sad decision.
Yeah, I was going to say they've given up pressure on the gens to protect Ivan there, but that's so huge for them because I don't believe Ivan went second stage. Zaka managed to get the unhook for free. Only one stage had passed, and then the team came in to protect him, to get him to the safest area of the map. And so, whilst, yeah, maybe you give up some of that gem pressure, you're actually giving your team, you're sort of saving the efficiency on the gens, which is going to pay off later on into the game. We do still have 3 stacks of pain resonance, and now thanatophobia is in full effect, so that's also going to help Certify. He's going to ingest the corruption. We've still got, well, we've got 4 injuries on the board with the infections. And, yeah, now it's going to, we're going to see the survivors running over to the top side, but someone still is up here around this water tower. And whatever pressure Certify can secure right now, it's going to be good for him. We see the chase being continuously taken over here into this pallet gym. Is that going to hit? No, it isn't. The M2 just misses out. We do have a bit of distance here. A lot of trees in the way to block that power from coming in, but don't have enough distance to make it to main. So this is likely going to be a down. No one's obviously available for the hit because they're all injured. That's going to be Zaka going down, Eruption proccing on 2 gens. But again, they're just taking chase so far into this top side. Certify is eventually going to lose out potentially on that setup on the bot side if he doesn't make it back there in time.
Yeah, the question is now, what strategy is the next step for Certify? Will we see Zaka being the new tunnel out target, trying to enforce that? Will we try to get back towards Ivan here and progressing through the stages? And also, how much risk does Certify want to take? How much will we move towards that midsection, above and across the suffocation pit mid-equator, we could say, towards the top side? That will be the decisions now. Certify definitely having a good generator setup for himself as well, can definitely work with that. The difference so far is we are not getting this one very punishing hook stage straight inside of this gen setup. So this could potentially be the chance right here. Marcos only having this drop pallet. We do not have a healthy survivor who could come in and take a little bit of assistance. So if we are bloodlusting here a little bit, we should get the down inside of the generator setup. The counterplay possible would be that Nokron is going to take the generators out in time. One of them for sure, the one in the distance there, but Marcos unfortunately not being able to run longer right next to the chase. A lot of pressure here, but no greed this time. Nokron learned from the punishing mistake that we have seen on Seraph, leaving early towards safety, but one survivor actually remains down here, has a filler pallet, but a little bit of the same scenario. Nokron has to go for the rescue, already done that, but this is going to be a down, but they might get this gen done. I think we have to slack. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch how progressed that was. Looks like it's about 70%, 80% of the way. Like you said, way too far to leave unhooked. And Marcos is not going to make that vault, dying in the same fashion as Inox over there. And this has now turned into a bit of a sticky situation. If you do have Zynox, you have to rotate to pick him up, so you only leave one survivor potentially for the save. It looks like Ivan's working that gen, but not going to be able to get it done in time. Second stage for Marcos, so Seraph has a bit of time. They potentially might have to. Oh, I don't know. They're coming in for that unhook. Yeah, they do make it, but the longer the chase goes on, Emily goes down immediately, which is, I guess, good for Certify. Eruption going to proc on that, and they're actually sticking it. Does that mean they're going to pop it in time? No, they don't pop it. This is actually so close there. If they don't pop this gen, it could be really devastating. We do have that gen that Zyrox was working on over in the far corner. So, I mean, that one's being currently, like, not focused on. So that could be another sort of way for them to win this. But, yeah, Van's going to die, but we're in the mid map, so equal distance between these two gens. Is there enough time for Certify to make it over there and stop this? He still has one stack of pain reds to be used, but look at how high this gen is. They're just splitting the map now, and you don't have that survivor dead, so ultimately they just split these gens, and eventually you will concede it. But it's just about how many stages you can get in between now and then. Zynox is going to be taking this. This is a Scorchuk, so this, I believe, might be the last stack. It is. It is, so that's going to eat into that gen. 20% flat regression, and we do have a survivor here lurking, and this area is very unsafe.
On the TNL here, that's not the tile where you want to take one of the most important chases of this entire set. How long can Zaka stand? How much pressure can we get into the generators here? Certify realizes that is too long. There's a generator here in the corner where the survivors are already swarming around. Certify needs to make sure that they are not sneaking in the back. Ivan is doing exactly that. 75%. There he is. That's going to be the chase towards the edge of the map. The other part of this side of Suffocation Pit is already progressed as well, with Zaka on 65%, now pulling back as well since the power is taken. Could be a chance for the survivors to pull back. Yeah, they're doing it inside. I feel like Nokron's coach. They're listening to me. Jeez. But they are pulling back into the main building, and I think that is very smart. Unless Certify realizes that all of them are doing this and then following them. And I think that is exactly what happened here. Confident that no survivor is sneaking in the back, but that might be a miscalculation. Zaka is still in the midsection, now back on the generator, while Certify living in the dreamland, thinking that all survivors are here on the main building. No idea how that wasn't a down, but Marcos taking that, and he picks, ladies and gentlemen, he picks. There's a generator on the bottom side near to completion, and he picks. Yeah, what? Are we chilling now? That's going to be Nokron taking that final generator out, and that should be enough to get the stages out of the door if they're playing this right. Certify, too confident here. Hopefully we can make a speed run.
Yeah, this is dangerous. Xanox is on that gate over there, and Zaka has the positioning, but this is going to be 2 survivors out. It's going to be enough. Oh. I feel for Certified so because he picks there, but there's no guarantee, I guess, that he makes it to the gen in time. So I feel like as soon as he commits to main building there, it's just done, right? It's from that point onwards when he's taking an extended chase so far on that side of the map, and you're not getting the down instantly onto Marcos. I guess I feel like that was a bit of an overcommitment.
Yeah, someone in that team needs to sit down with the killer and certify the strategy, because it was, again, nice idea, right? It was so good, but only with an if, and this if was unfortunately if all survivors would have been in the main building. But that you not only, I mean, at some point you should realize the 4th survivor is missing, right? We didn't see Zaka at the main building, and then downing, but then picking and basically handing these final seconds towards the survivor team. I think that was one step too much. How much can we get here? The light, Zynox taking it. Zach, that's gonna be 3 people out. That should be enough. That should be enough. It is enough.
Oh God, it's just coming right down to the wire with these teams, and you couldn't hope for a better set. Like, wow, just a better first set to kick us off. If that's going to set the tone of the matches coming up, then I am here for the ride. But wow.
Fair to say, Seraph would have deserved that first set if the Plague would have ended differently with a set point for Seraph. I think that would have been fair as well. So hopefully the Clown will be a good set for him.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're talking about momentum quite a lot in matches like these that are quite close, and of course Certified just losing that set, now having to play killer again. I do wonder how his mentality is going to be coming into this one. Takes the pallet smack to the face. Ivan not going to worry too much about that one. But we're already out of bottles. This could be a hit. It is! Oh, that's right on the last pixel as well. Oh my goodness. You're not going to be happy about that one if you're Ivan, I suppose, but he does make it to Shaq. Bit of an anchor point for this map, a point of safety. We're just going to drop Shaq pallet instantly, and now he has the safety of potentially making it to another filler. Looking at the build, we've got Rapid Brutality and Dragon's Grip, 2 perks that really do complement Clown's kit, especially when you have the danger of that exposed status later on into the game, and that's coupled with Pain Res and Eruption, so definitely a different set compared to what we've just seen. We're going to break that pallet, and could look like it's leading to a down. You don't have enough safety here, and just dying as far away as possible. That's first gen popped, and Ivan goes down.
We do get a second generator in the distance. Was about to mention that. That's why I waited a moment. I would have been worried if the second generator wouldn't have been there in exchange for that first chase, because the time definitely speaking towards it, 127, and knowing Nokron and their individual split in the early game, that's good to see that it's going to be a second objective here as well. Still relatively okay, I would say. 127 is nothing you need to be sad about when playing the Clown, and Certify also hitting the purple bottle directly there. Someone has the gaming chair with the game sense. That could be potentially a very fast 2-tap almost onto Zaka if this mind game works out, but Zaka now proving patience, not going to take the vault, and Certify opting to go back. That's very understandable. 3v1 as a Clown is making things a lot easier. Ivan not able to move around the purple bottle there, so it's going to be an early hit for Marcos. Oh, no. And then a little bit unsure where Certify is. That should be the hit. Yeah, that's a good move now. That looks good. Almost the instant rehook onto Ivan. Zaka and Marcos injured, so either they heal, so you gain some time on the killer side, or you can be sure that not too many survivors will come in for the body blocks. I like what I see. Certify is in a good spot.
Yeah, and getting that down so fast after the first one, crucially, he gets that stack of pain resonance. After those first 2 gen spots, I mean, it wasn't on the top side, but he's able to slow down the gens even further. And we've got 2 injuries on the board, so it's good going into this mid-game now after the first couple of chases to have your elimination so close by, and especially at Clown, who really excels at, I would say, tunneling. 100%. He definitely has the tools to do it, and rightly so, showing us how it's done. Ivan now, we're just looking around to see the reset coming in, not revealing that until just now. 99 each other, it's a very, very common tactic used. Zaka and Marcos now healthy, and we're just going to be securing this death, it looks like, now that Certify knows that they were resetting. Maybe feels that he has enough time to just camp this out, and should take us into the 3v1 with maybe not a little bit of jump pressure, but we're still at 3 at the minute. Xanox probably working that third one whilst his other 2 are resetting, but we'll have to see as we now make our way across the map. Ivan's going to be saying goodbye to the Clown and Wreckers Yard, and we are left with Xanox, Zaka, and Marcos.
Certify, all according to plan, basically, can make a tick on the to-do list behind first elimination and 3 survivors. That is some confidence gain right there. When you get your first survivor out of the game and you look down there, wait, 3 gens remaining and I'm a Clown? That looks like a good trial for me. So Certify absolutely coming in. Good to see that also, that this unfortunate ending in the Plague set didn't do too much on his confidence, and still going into this trial on the Wreckers Yard. Absolutely proving that they are a great Clown here. Zaka going to take the next chase. We have the little bit of a speed. Oh, 2 survivors here running into each other a little bit. So that leaves only Marcos on a generator. Okay. And that leaves only Marcos on the generators right now. That's not the biggest amount of progress, Zach.
No, they had one on the very bottom of the map there that was quite highly progressed, and the one that he applied Eruption to. We'll see Zaka going down here is going to proc that, but yeah, it seems like they played it a little bit slow, and that's a second smack on the wall in a row. Unfortunately, Certify going to be collecting metal to build his own base, but maybe build another shack or crane. I'm not sure what he's choosing, but Zaka going on the chase of his life right now. We have Marcos about to pop a 3rd gen. That would have been one at the bottom of the map, so that's 1 less gen to be erupted. Xanox 50% on another, and we're playing this broken truck. I mean, Zaka will go down, unfortunately, but he's put a lot of time for his team, Dyer. A lot of time. Xanox on 60% on that gen. Go for it. Go for it.
That chase was unfortunately too long, I was about to say, after this nice elimination. And also not only how long the chase took, but also where it lead us, right? in the corner of the map, far away from the gens. Now Zaka can basically be rescued for free. We cannot really interrupt the survivor immediately. There is some extra pressure right here, but this allows now for the reset onto Zaka, and then most likely 3 healthy survivors. We definitely need a quicker down in the next one. We cannot have Zaka showing us around Wrecker's Yard like this again.
Yeah, 2 survivors in this far corner, but again, that's probably where they want to find themselves. That Shack gen was very far, the other one in the corner that they're working, but they have 3 gens with relatively decent progress and only 2 to pop. So I want to say that this next chase will probably decide the game for us. You can see Zynox there, behind that tile, and they're positioning themselves quite well, but well, there's a Certify can cut off this rotation, but where is Marcos? You have to wonder where he is. There's definitely a survivor on this bottom side or closer to, and it's really about gaining that information to know your limits, I suppose, and trying to close off this game. Zaka's still injured, so we're not seeing an immediate reset. But yeah, it seems like the game's slowed down a little bit. The survivors don't really want to reveal themselves, and Certify is trying to find out where they're starting. Zaka now reset. Looks like that was going. They were going to safety, but if Certify was to guess, it would probably be in this corner, maybe. Hasn't found anyone yet, and they're stealthing this out pretty nicely, I would say, Dire. But yeah, positionally, what's going through your head right now if you're Certify? Like, well, am I playing a game with 3 survivors? Where are they, man? Oh, there's one. Now it looks like it's going to be Zaka. Taking a quick injury, caught out of position a little bit, but now we're going towards the Shack. We don't have the same sort of distance we had before. Shack was thrown earlier by Ivan, throwing a bottle at the window, but look at how fast he is. I don't think you make that, Zaka. It's going to be going down on the pallet. At least there's someone here for the save. Oh, that was not quite. No, so that's going to be Zaka going down. And crucially, Dire, we now have a hook in the 3-gen.
That's finally changing the things for Certify a little bit, because now you are not giving them a free unhook and a free rescue. Now you are able to monitor the hooked survivor. You can force a trade. You can at least injure the rescue before going into the tunnel out with Zaka, and you have the generators in reach. Much different gameplay now for the killer here. Can be a lot more confident, a lot more control over what's happening, what's possible from the survivor side. Looking strong in that regard, Certify, but here we see it straight next to Zaka, keeping an eye out for the rescuer and getting some regression into the generator. Yeah, he did spot the survivor over there, I feel like, but does decide to follow pretty far away from Zaka's unhook now. We will have to see if that's not potentially backfiring here onto Certify, because Zaka and Marcos, they can go for the generator that he just left. Now he has to slug over here. That does pull one survivor into the corner. That does force them into wasting some time. Okay, it actually worked out because he made it back in time. Good play then from Certify. Good calculation. I mean, that's always the difficult decision you have to make, right? How much time do I actually have to follow one of these survivors, and before I will turn my back on the survivors and get basically all the generators immediately thrown around my head. So Certify proving, I feel like, a good feeling. How much time is on the clock? How hard can I commit? And how quickly do I need to down these survivors before I need to go back? I like to see that. Next injury as well, forcing Nokron potentially into a full pullback and a reset, which will only lead to regression on the generator. Beautiful play.
Yeah, I want to say he kind of put on his running shoes there after that down onto Zynox. He had the 15% haste with the combination of his yellow bottles and his rapids. So I mean, this is a bit further, so you can see Marcos 60% on that gen. Is that enough progress? But this is a fresh hook, so this could be a scorch hook right here. Is it going to be another stack of pain res? Yes, it is. So Oh, it doesn't look like it hit that gen actually. So they've got two really far. They're actually, I think, closer to the end game than we actually thought. Zaka's there already in that corner, positionally playing that perfectly. And it looks like now the survivors are taking complete control. Zynox playing the positions perfectly and committing those two survivors to the gens. Zaka securing the pull. That's going to be Zynox taking a second stage, but looks like it might be punished with the last two gens potentially.
That's one at least.
I just realized I said the other two survivors when Ivan's dead. I don't know what I'm saying. Christ. Me thinking there's a fourth
It's okay.
survivor
You
on the
only...
track. No, I just have to chuckle at myself.
It's okay. It's okay. You're an Ivan fan. You don't want to believe that the legend already died. It's okay, Zach.
His ghost is blessing the trial. His three remaining teammates. The David with the green mohawk.
Sounds like some haunted grounds, but let's see if Certify is speeding back. Look at that, he's speeding back towards Janok. Wants to get the pressure back in. Zynox complete. Oh! Yeah, hello? Was that a head-on? Was that a head-on attempt? Is Nokron now going for a strategy where you file a letter and then you register your head-on attempt at the next state office and 3 business days afterwards it's happening? I hope that wasn't something like that we witnessed here. We'll have to call the video referee on what was that attempt with the locker there, but
it's like my public game attempts to get the killer's attention. Like, look at me, I'm in a locker. Come get me. Don't tell my teammate. But, not unfortunately able to protect Zynox there. Now we're in the 2v1, and that last gen did not get completed. So I'm going to be thinking maybe the 4K one secured, especially with Marcos being found injured. But Zaka taking the scream from the dragon script, it was. Yeah, it does take that first thing, but they're stealthing out. And I swear I heard Zaka scream, but there's no exposed on the UI, so I really don't know, to be honest. Marcos still injured.
Yeah, quick. I need to, real quick, I cross-check that with our archive in the background. It is actually Marcos with the hat on, so it was the attempt right there, but we are also getting informed that there's a little bit of a bug. So yeah, we'll just drag it against Marcos here. Marcos, you have to now show us a fantastic chase when you are up next in order to make up for that. Until then, we will have team captain Zaka taking the responsibility here, hopefully long enough that Marcos can go for it. Does take the vault here. Will take the injury, now circling around the fun bus here. Is that going to be enough, ladies and gentlemen? Marcos is on the gen potentially, but that's not going to be enough. 50% only in the shack. Certify realizing he has enough time to go for the hook stage here. Great calculation, and that will most likely be the 4K with the Clown. Fantastic game by Certify. Fantastic trial for Seraph here. That is beautiful to see. And out, ladies and gentlemen, after the hatch is closed, and out will not make a difference here because the survivors haven't finished all the generators. So the only thing you can earn now is some style points.
Yeah, I was just revisiting the Clown stats that I asked for earlier because he is someone we've only seen in 4 matches so far in Season 10. But it looks like, based on what I'm reading, that 4K is about 50% of the result. So we have about a 10-stave average. Marcos just showing himself there is going to take that Mori. Bit of a cinematic finish for us, but a bit higher than the average currently for Certify. So I'm sure he's going to feel very comfortable, especially after against a team like Nokron. I do wonder how they're going to perform on the killer side, but yeah, really nice, well executed 3v1 on the killer side. I think that Nokron did everything correctly, but just given I mean, I know he's not the most mobile killer, but with that rapid and yellow bottle speed, he was able to just traverse the map so quickly. Given the scorch hooks and the eruptions and things, and also the pressure that sort of Dragon Script gave him, I think really contributed to that. So very situational, but to a very quick elimination that we noticed from Ivan, and they did pretty well to get to 1 gen remaining. So we'll have to see how that early game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Sometimes OPS doesn't want to work the same way as we do. We promised that we will say thank you to a lot of people that supported Season X, and that thank you will come. It just wasn't this break. Apologies for that, but sometimes DBDLeague is up for surprises, at least behind the scenes. Zaka taking the responsibility on the killer side. Who else really, right? We talked about the Nokron team card at the beginning. Zaka with a phenomenal hook stage average of 8.4 there across all the... Oh, look at that beautiful bottle ahead of the survivor before taking the injury. That seems like a very dangerous clown.
Yeah, I mean, he found 3 survivors at the start. I think he spawned down the bottom side, but immediately went over to that crane corner, finding 3 survivors. So really good information for Zaka there. Sock My Stock's taking that first injury, but we're already moving so fast across this map. This early game is going at about 100 miles an hour. Jar running off into the distance, and Zaka smells other survivors. We do have Sloppy Butcher actually being used for a bit of healing slowdown. Compared to the difference in last game, replaced by the Rapid Brutality, I believe it was. So just a small difference in the builds there that Zaka's taken advantage of, and actually cancels out that swing, knowing he's not going to make it. And Jar is now going over to the bot side of the map, has this 2-0 wall here to use for safety, and he vaults into him. Unfortunately, Jar's going to be taking the first down of the game. And we'll see if that's going to be a Skurchuk 1 gen does pop. And we did have another one on the right side of the map that was pretty close. It should now be eating that Skurchuk. Pain or Resonance. So Zaka has a rough idea of where those gens are being worked on. But has that first early down. 1 minute and 48 seconds. I think that was roughly the same time as last game. So we're on par in terms of the last trial. But we're not going to be working over. We see some scratch marks. Of course, we want to be seeing how fast you can get that first elimination, but everybody was on this top side, so going to be a while at least for that unhook to come through. Jar's going to be sitting on the hook, and this is going to be an injury on Suck My Socks. Has the time and wants to go back, thinking there's a rotation coming now, which would make sense given the amount of time that's passed. And yeah, very good timing on the unhook for Zaka at least, because he's already found Jar. Has the bottle, the intoxication slowing him down, and this is going to be a very fast down. Doesn't quite make it to that pallet, unfortunately. And is there another survivor around here? We're going to be checking. Tenacity going to be tried to be used, but that's going to be Jar taking his second stage at 4 gens remaining on this hill hook as well, which is going to be relatively unsafe, to be honest. But bit of a rinse and repeat scenario. Oh, actually trying to see if there's someone in the corner there stealthing for that early unhook. Very nice game sense from Zaka there to really guess for. But yeah, no one going to be in that area. Clear that they rotated away. And we're still at 4 gens, still waiting for that second one to pop. And the game is completely in Zaka's control. He sees someone there trying to go down for the rotation. Looks like they were working that gen actually. Positionally. Gonna take a pallet smack to the face. Mathis was holding that tower there. And 2 gens pop. So doesn't look like they're interested in saving Jar for now. Mathis looks like he was the only one positionally there ready. But since our survivor isn't injured, we're going to be going over to Shaq. And it looks like Zaka's trying to wait for a commit to the unhook before he goes through with a save, but doesn't seem like anyone's actually nearby for it. And we might be seeing an elimination at 2 gens remaining. So Seraph showing us some good gen efficiency, punishing Zaka for the for those rotations, and he will be eliminated. So now we are in the 3v1 a little bit earlier, a little bit later than we were in the last trial. Acid taking the M1. Not able to see where that clown is, but playing the 50-50 around the pallet. Saka just getting information on where these gens are being worked on, and it seems to me like this game is just going so much faster than the last trial. And both on the survivor side and the killer side, he is zooming all over the map with these bottles. We do have eruption applied on 2 of these gens, and Acid not fully reset yet, but that's going to be Sock My Sock taking an injury. Applying that sloppy butcher. Dragon Script going to be proccing on that gen over there. And it was Acid, so injured survivor with exposed status, not really going to do much except give you information on the killer side. But things are happening all over the place right now. We have that loud noise notification over on that far side, and Zach is just going to be checking gens. And finds an injured survivor crucially. And do you have enough distance to make that? I don't think you do. Getting that speed from the yellow bottle. And we still have 3 stacks of pain res. Eruption applied on that survivor off in the distance, but sticking the gen maybe a bit too long. Now Zach is going to speed over. He isn't. He actually is just going to turn around and go back to the slug. Trying to see how far that gen was, maybe. But this is actually quite bad. We found Zaphis in the same area. Is he going to commit to that? No rapid brutality to chase the survivor down, but Sock My Socks has actually been picked up. This is good survivor play from Seraph.
Yeah, Seraph waking up. They're waking up. Seraph not allowing Zaka to make the speed run here. At least we are seeing some extra aggression now from the survivor team, getting quicker onto the generators, trying to force the completion here, and also looking a bit more confidence in the chases, if you're asking me. But unfortunately, it is still a difficult win condition. One more generator would only be the tie, but Acid going down here, and that means we can apply the regression onto this generator. Zaka preparing the pickup with the yellow bottle, taking the 13% extra speed. Hill hook as well. You can even take a little bit of an overview if you catch the survivor from here. It is a difficult 4-gen setup, so I'm still positive and optimistic towards Seraph that they are going to take generator number 4 out of the way. But a tie is very realistic here, I feel like. He might even hit that bottle in order to prevent the unhook. Never mind, that's not going to be successful. So we have it down right here, but okay, I was about to say, if he really wanted to force it, I don't think that Acid would have made it far away, but just taking the hook stage here makes a lot of sense. Zaka with his 4-gen, can he pull the miracle? Is he able to show us something unbelievable? Potentially the 2nd time stealing the win from Seraph here. I somehow get the vibe, Zach, when I see Zaka like this. I feel like he's gonna do it. He looks so confident and so happy with his clown. I feel like he's gonna do it.
Yeah, he's just lobbing. I was saying this, like, it's so, he's playing so fast. He's throwing bottles all over the place. They're hitting right in the right spots. The hit survivors. He's getting himself zooming across the map. It's it seems like a very confident play style, right? And anyways, it was a lot faster than the last game, and like you say, he's setting up, and he actually gets the Dragon's Grip hit onto Zaphis, as far as I'm aware. He was healthy, unless I'm getting the short-term memory loss of what I've just watched. Eruption proccing, and that's 12 seconds of aura reading on that survivor. It's going to be Acid speeding over, and he's got a lot of sloppy butcher value. These survivors have not really had many chances to reset, and you also have that sort of in tandem with Dragon Script too, so you're always having your survivors just on the verge of the dying state when you've got this speedy clown running for you. And it's Zaka, of course, one of the scariest killers in the game, at least player-wise. Acid going to take the down, and Zaphis is still on the floor. Where is Suck My Socks, though? Picking up Zaphis is the answer, but yeah, I mean, he is on track for at least the tie, but could potentially see the 4K2 as well. I mean, you've got them on the back foot now because they're having to just focus on picking each other up, right?
How long can this chase last? That's the question, ladies and gentlemen. I do think what's mentioned there with the pressure, it is great to see how they are trying, right? And it's great to see that, like, on paper, they are doing good decisions here. They are taking care of one another. They are trying to drag the killer away from the active gens. They are getting percentage after percentage into these objectives. It's just always like 5 seconds missing here, 3 seconds missing there, 7 seconds missing here, and unfortunately it kind of adds up. And unfortunately, it's going to be a tricky situation because Zaka still holding his 4-gen setup, still being with the win condition at the moment, taking the little bit of a speed here. Look at that precision, ladies and gentlemen. The yellow bottle towards the generator, and then on the pixel next to the tile, taking the little bit of speed here and going back after these survivors. That's going to be Edgemap Andy now in chase, but a quick down coming out, Eruption kicking in the distance, Acid going back onto a hook here. Zaka is playing phenomenal. We mentioned it during the break, or before we went into the break. If there is someone who can deal with difficult circumstances like this, someone who has pulled win conditions like this in the past, then it's Zaka. He's known for it. He has the experience for it. And even a tie will feel okay, right? Because they have taken the Plague. If you get a tie on Clown, okay, certainly not how Nokron wants to walk out of this match here with having the chance to go into the pole position of the standings. You would rather prefer 3-0, but taking the Clown that was picked by Seraph, getting a set point win, and then the tie, completely okay, right? There's not going to be any bad mood in the voice chat of Nokron about it.
Yeah, absolutely. No matter how this goes, whether it's a tie or a win, he's definitely not going to lose, right? So either way, he's going to be feeling good, and going 2-0 up, of course, is best case scenario. This is his last Scourge hook, so that's even more aggression secured in this 4-gen. And again, the resets aren't coming through. Survivors are staying injured, and it's actually just giving Zaka so much pressure. You have to really give it to him for choosing Sloppy Butcher, and he's using this perk masterfully. Of course, the survivors choosing not to heal because they have to waste time, but then you're sort of in a position where you're just always on the verge of death. And of course, that's what Zaka needs to secure the win. He's got absolutely everything going for him right now. And we mentioned his M1 killers, so far this tournament, right at the start of the match, Dyer, and he's clearly consistent in that, because you've got Clown here with a very strong performance. And has this nice little vantage point actually that he's using to spot the survivors. But yeah, all 3 injured, so unless they pull together and get a good chase in, I don't think they're going to pop this 3rd gen or 4th gen.
Is it enough, ladies and gentlemen? Will it be possible? 15 minutes so far in this trial. There we can see how much they are fighting here. Zaka, as fast as he was during the mid game, now has to also be really, really careful with every single decision he's taking. One step too far away from the generators, and they potentially get it done. On the other hand, the survivors need to reset. They need to pull back. Ultimately, though, at some point we will reach that the generators have 8 kicks each. So it will be tricky to force them into regression. And if Seraph is able to survive this long and is able to basically take that ability of regression away from Zaka, that's going to be a lot more difficult. But unfortunately, it is going to be the purple bottle power unleashing of Sock My Socks. And yet again, Zaka cannot go for the hook because it would be too much time. He can only force them into picking up the slug, wasting some time with the travel across the map, with the healing basically, and Zaka racing after this survivor here with 13% together with the purple bottle. We are playing Mario Kart on the wrecker's yard. Zaf is taking the down, and now is the question, ladies and gentlemen, have we grinded a generator? Are we brutally sacrificing our life? The answer is no, because Sock My Socks is being picked up, and that means Zaka has more time, and you can see he instantly reacts to that, takes the time reloading his bottles because he knows he doesn't have to rush towards a generator. What a throw there over the wall of the tile, basically making sure that the survivor is getting hindered. Difficult mind game around the pallet, acid going down. That's enough time now because we're picking up Zafis in the distance, but that's the next hook stage, this time in a much better location. And Zach, I feel like the odds, not the content creator, but the chances are swinging more and more into Zaka's favor here.
Yeah, we have had a relatively slow game, sort of slow late game. But Zaka using that sort of internal clock to really know how much time he has to do things. And, you know, slugging is good and in moderation, but he's using it when he probably feels like he doesn't have enough time to hook, right? Which is the crucial thing, because, of course, slugging for the 4K2 is good, but he's doing it when he only knows that, like, he has to, when he's worrying about the gens, or if enough time's passed where they could have been on one for a bit too long. So it's almost like a point of experience, because when he's playing around that time frame, then he can't really go wrong. And so I'm not surprised why he's sort of opting for this slower play style and just playing to the time that he has. But now we're in the 2v1. I really would be very surprised if they get that fourth gen done. If it wasn't looking likely before, it's definitely looking a lot less likely now. We found Zafis. We're going to be throwing that yellow bot for speed, and we do hear Sock My Socks as well, just in the corner. It looks like we're actually in the same area. That's eruption going to be applied on that gen as he picks up off the window, and there is not enough progression on this gen, unfortunately. So as soon as Zaka picks up this chase, we'll inevitably see those scratch marks, but also here's the injured Nancy. So yeah, I think that's going to be Nokron taking the 2-0 Dire.
Wow, they did it. They did it. That is so crazy, Zach, because 2 times today, Seraph would have deserved it. That's for sure. If you 4K1 Nokron, you deserve to take that set, because you played a fantastic killer trial. Unfortunately, just a little bit like on the Plague, Nokron deserves it a little bit more because they are 1 step ahead here, but that also looks very much like Nokron taking their chance to make it a 4-0 and standing there alone on the top of the standings after week 4. Very serious, they look very prepared, they look very ready. And yeah, even if 4K1 doesn't stop them, you can always make a step ahead, and Zaka just did that with a 4K2 on the Clown here, ladies and gentlemen. And I do hear from the background that the video is now working, so we're taking a moment. We are saying thank you to all the donators and supporters of Season X, and we'll be right back with the upcoming trial.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Mastermind set. Set number 3, Nokron currently going strong with a 2-0, looking to make it 3-0 and complete a flawless first half of the Season X group stage. And we have Zaka, of course, on the Mastermind, master of the Mastermind, looking for a survivor in the corrupt area of the zone. As that actually has found someone, but the sprint that's going to be used, keeping Sock My Socks safe for just a second, but the nice bound coming in there, going to secure an injury. Taking Chase into the corner of the map, or staying at this tower. Looks like Zaka maybe thinks he's still there. Yeah, looks like he's full W. Tried to make it up to this mid-filler pallet. Mind gaming on the short side, so not a safe place to be for Sock My Socks. And rightfully so. Trying to dive pallet. Is someone here for the save, though? Zaka's just going to take a quick look around. And it looks like, yeah, it was Jar coming in for the save. He's going to take that M2 bounce. And come right back to the survivor on the floor. But that's going to cost them some pressure on the gens, at least in this first chase. 49 seconds on that first down, Dyer.
That is an incredibly fast down, and we talked about it during the break. We said, well, it's Mastermind, so that's a good set for Seraph, and then we came to the conclusion, yeah, well, but Nokron has Zaka, so it doesn't matter really what killer we have on the table. So Zaka just continuing the streak, you can call it really. After the 2-0, they obviously want to take the 3-0 here. And that, I mean, that would even be more exciting than just taking the 4-0 in the standings and the pole position of Season X for now. Also claiming that pole position with a clean 3-0. That's kind of impressive. So Zaka obviously aiming towards that, and the survivor squad of Nokron will be ready to continue that success as well. But Seraph looked strong in these two sets. It was not a dominant sweep so far. It was more like close and yeah, pretty tricky at some point. So Seraph definitely with a good chance here to make something happen for them. Sock My Socks. Basically halftime on that first hook stage. We have a 3-gen up there on the coal tower. As per usual, we could say, Zaka monitoring the furthest progress generator together with the hook stage, getting the power ready already for an instant dash in case he finds someone. We see a pretty good map control, just like in the previous trial. Really like to see them. And Zaka has been very successful with it. So yeah, second stage even on 5. No, never mind, 4 gens.
They just got in your way with that one. It was almost a 5-gen second stage, but yeah, they heard you and they're like, no, actually it's 4 gens. But we actually see Survivor there. Trying to rotate for the unhook, and Zaka's got complete control of the map right now. Like you said, has this long range sort of distance across the map, and that's 2 gens pops. He has relatively decent information on where the survivors are. Rotation's going to come through, but not soon enough. Sock My Socks might be going down. Eliminated. I feel like it's going to be really bad for Seraph if they let the survivor die. But Zaka very nicely not letting them do it. So this is very, very good setup coming into the early game. Only 2 gens completed so far, and no real sight of maybe how that third one's coming along. Confirmation there. 2 people coming in for the save. Final survivor on the last, well, the 3rd gen. And they do get the save onto Sock My Socks. So 2 gens left, and they need to protect this tunnel out, but oh, this pallet wasn't used. So we do have a bit of safety left. But unfortunately, Sock My Socks is going to take the M2. Not enough reflexes. Maybe a bit of ping difference there showing, but Mastermind and Pallets, those 2 usually don't gel well together in terms of hitboxes, so unfortunate they're taking the elimination. And now Zaka has probably a good idea of how much progression's on the map, Dyer, so I think he's probably going to be chilling now, especially when he's got 2 survivors injured.
2 survivors injured, looking for more. Elimination already done. How many gens can they complete, and will they take stages out of the door here? Acid has shown us a few good chases so far today, so hopefully being able. Nice fake attempt there, but I don't think that's going to be enough for another run now. That's going to be the down, but took a little bit of time away from Zaka here. That's enough time to heal the injuries in the background, so Zaka cannot go for instant downs left and right here. That's definitely going to be beneficial for Team Seraph. Zaka now speeding down towards the bottom side. Difficult generator setup. Not a great region, and basically a 2-2 split up across the west and east side of the coal tower here. Checking the midsection will be interesting to see where these survivors are located, hiding behind the box here, close to the midsection in order to get towards the needed unhook. Jar has to leave the generator as Zaka now coming all the way down here, so Zaf is successfully hiding. Perfect timing now to get the unhook, getting the third survivor back in, and Zaka bouncing into the box there. That's now the chance for Team Seraph to make a comeback. No one on a hook. Acid back in the game. Jar even healthy, so that has potential for quite an impressive chase here, and realizing after Zaka gets over the pallet that the window is in reach, so not forcing that one loop with the tunnel vision. Instead, awareness for the surroundings. Yeah, hello, Jar, delivering the juice right there. Maybe he wants to start at Uber Eats with delivering so much juice here. Bamboozling Zaka even. That's such an amazing chase. We have the unhook, we have the healing, we have the survivor wasting time for not even taking an injury. That was MVP chase right there.
Yeah, and then he left the tile and Zaka was chasing his demons, I think, there for like a full 5-10 seconds. So absolutely insane pathing from Jar there. Not securing, not conceding any form of injury, and giving his team time to get back on their feet, and all of that pressure that Zaka had just there, completely gone. So he's going to need to get that back with a quick chase here, potentially sees the scratch marks going around the hill, and just good pathing from these survivors. Second chase in a row, and Zaf is pathing around the hill. Oh, good mind game there. Smelling a survivor, but we've got 2 survivors over here at the shack. Still 2 gens remaining. So they just need to regain that pressure a little bit. But yeah, Zaka has a pretty good setup here in terms of gens, but knows where the survivors are. So he's going to be able to make this decision slightly. But unfortunately, Jar's luck ran out, and he vaults into Zaka, not winning that mind game. Winning too many in a row. Unfortunately, that one there is not going to work out for him. Takes the injury, but Zaka now seeing the 2 survivors trying to work this gen here, and yeah, the game seems to be a little bit slower in this 3v1. Fair.
Yeah, the next few moments here are going to be very decisive, right? It's going to be a decisive strike, basically. Hopefully a strike onto the backs of the survivors when we are talking from Zaka's POV, but Seraph here currently still working on their comeback a little bit and trying to get as much pressure into the gens as possible. Jar trying to bait out the dash from Zaka, but too much experience and patience on the side of the killer here. That's going to be the unfortunate pain rush now coming in, though. And these are the things that then cannot happen, unfortunately. When you have the chance to put Zaka under some pressure, when you can waste the time on the killer side, then you also need to make sure that you really, really use that opportunity and that you are not, unfortunately, taking a pain rest like that. However, Zaka moving away from the hook stage again, so one of the survivors could rotate around, taking the unhook. We're finding Acid here, though. That's going to be... oh, not going to be the injury. Staying healthy. Jar being rescued in the distance. And how good can Acid run? Can we get time for the gens? The answer is no, and unfortunately Acid is thrown towards the outside of the map. That looks like a balanced landing there, since he's looking for the hill. Good escape out of a difficult situation. But again, Zaka showing his patience, going for a confident dash. Yeah, it does feel more like we are talking about how many generators, Zach.
Yeah. Nice. I want to point out that little throw there onto Acid with his beta lad on, where it ends the throw faster. Really contributed to that quick down, because it sacrificed Like he lost a lot of distance basically on that throw, so really nice add-on value there coming out. And yeah, you're right. It's really a question if they can get the 4th gen, because it just seems like Zach is all over the map right now, and the resources are like gradually whittling down, getting less and less. Actually sees Jar behind that rock, but not able to land the bounce. Good patience from the survivor side to avoid that. But now we're in this awkward situation. You have Jar sort of at that TNL, and another Unhook comes through from Mathis. So you don't have survivors on a gen. You have time now to commit a chase. And how's it going to work? And no, unfortunately, doesn't get the angle on the pilot there. Ass is going to live to see another day, and this is a relatively safe rock to run, the God Rock. Mathis now coming in for the hit. Will he be able to get it? He does. He protects Acid. Acid's going to live to see another day. Mathis only taking an injury. We're now running into the area where the gens are being worked, and Acid's going to go down. Eruption's going to proc. And we're going to have yet another hook stage on the board. Jar now 50% on the gens. Mathis just starting another one. But now we're in a 2v1 with 2 gens remaining. So what do you think about gens now? Do you think they're going to be done? I don't know. That's actually reached its regression limit died. But yeah, like, that's now changed things for the survivors.
Yeah, I would hope that we see at least generator number 4, right? Because a tie in the next trial will still be the win for Nokron. Because if we tie, then the only thing Seraph is doing basically is keeping it on a 2-0. But if they would tie, we don't need to play set 4 because there's no chance anymore to turn it into a 2-2. So then it's just over. And that means that they definitely need to win, which would be a 4K3 for the upcoming trial against Nokron's survivor team. That would be one hell of a task. So hopefully getting generator number 4 out of the way, that way you can 4K2 just like Zaka is almost achieving right now, and that sounds a lot better here. So getting generator number 4 would basically make a huge impact regarding the win condition. So hopefully they can get that done. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a Seraph wall tattoo at home, or you have made a tattoo on your back with the Seraph logo because you just turned 18 and your parents cannot stop you anymore, then it's time to get that out now. Show it on the balcony to your neighbors because they need the support so desperately. We need a generator desperately. We need something, anything.
They'll actually get
Whatever
it.
They're
gonna get it.
Need it, and they do. Thank God, they are hearing my words. Someone presented their Seraph tattoo on the balcony.
Yeah, he kicked this gen so many times.
Thank God.
And Eruption procced it. Yeah, like Zaka realized that he couldn't kick either of those gens. He used up all of his regression on them. 8 regression events gone into that gen, and it feels like this trial's gone quite quickly. So that came through just like, we had a bit of a slow mid game, but honestly, yeah, able to get that last, the 4th gen done. And I mean, I know Zaphis is in chase now, but yeah, like you said, that 4K1, where you have the 4K2 win condition, it's a little bit better if you're Seraph. And so, best of a bad situation there. Forced into the 2v1, getting that gen done. That is absolute best case scenario. But yeah, that's going to be 4K1 secured. An impressive performance from Seraph. And considering they had a lot of early pressure on them, they had Sock by Socks eliminated pretty fast, but a couple of mid-game chases allowed them to get the 4th gen done, alleviate the pressure a little bit. But yeah, it's still a 4K. 4K is still an impressive result, but you're now going up against Nokron survivors, so you have to wonder if they can match that on the killer side.
Yeah, it's good that they got it out of the way. I feel like this was the maximum possible in that difficult situation, right? And again, for everyone at home, it needs to be a win in the upcoming trial. A tie will not be enough for Seraph, because then we only have set 4. We are not replaying ties in DBDL anymore. And when it's 2-0 and we only have 1 set, then only a 2-1 is possible, so winner is decided and we won't go into set 4. So it would need to be a 4K with 2 generators remaining. Anything else would be a win for Nokron here. Difficult task ahead. Will be interesting to see who is actually taking the responsibility on the Mastermind, who's going to step up against the Survivor team. So we need a little bit of an expert there, basically. Zach, do you have someone in mind? I must admit, I'm not too familiar with who plays the Mastermind. I could imagine about the Dark Lord, the Mastermind I meant. The Mastermind, where we were worried a little bit, but here he is. Dark Lord would be our set number 4 in this case, but as we mentioned, not going to happen here, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the task now for My Socks getting that win and making sure we can have some success and maybe moving towards getting a point out of Nokron here. My Socks needs a 4K with 2 generators standing. 4K 1 gen will not be enough. It would stay with a 2-0 then. And that's an unfortunate first dash here, not finding the injury of that survivor. Ivan moving towards the top side. Let's see if the legend can go for the 3 fillers, 3 minutes. As he's very often doing it, but Ivan slipping through these boxes here, making sure an injury isn't possible. Fantastic first chase, Zach. This is how someone looks like who wants to walk to the top of the standings.
Yeah, absolutely, playing with confidence, and that's really been the theme throughout all 4 of their matches. We see such confident survivor performance, and then you have Zaka just on a really strong killer performance too to back it up. And no matter how their killer or survivor performance goes, either side just like supports the other. You know, you have a bad killer result, let's just get an even better survivor result to really nail it home. And yeah, they're showing really good skills and confidence so early on into Season X. But I'm very interested to see how they, I guess, perform against the top teams in the table in the second half of the group stage. Of course, Ivan now all going to be dodging out, and he doesn't get the bound. He very masterfully sidesteps that. And going to get the smash hit as well. Back over to main building. And this is a first chase right now. My Socks taking it to the absolute probably worst place you can. Committing chase over here. Now you for the 4% slowdown now on the M2. But this is a 2-gen chase so far. Third one being worked on. And this is not the early game you want if you want to secure a 4K2. Because you are 1 gen away. Or 2 gens away from that tie. But 1 gen away. I suppose 2 gens away from the loss, to be honest. Even if it is a tie condition, you are going to lose that set like we talked about. But that is Ivan finally going down.
Wow.
What a chase.
That is very late considering the win condition, unfortunately. 2 minutes 36. Much longer, an entire minute compared to the previous trial, which is basically 1 generator for a double up for free due to Ivan's very good first chase, and the survivors all 3 cranking the generators in the distance. So that's really, really difficult here for My Socks, especially that shack generator, for example. Dangerous tile to go into a shack chase with. You can really, really lose a lot of time there. The survivors drag you far away from the active generators. This generator over here has a lot of progress as well. And just between these 2 gens, you could already waste a lot of time by just going back and forth. And that's basically 20% of the map here. Zynox taking the injury, running towards the shack. So the survivors now joining back onto the objectives on the left side, on the top side. They can feel the chance for a victory here. Marcos coming in, gets the vault in time. The shack pallet needs to be destroyed. Zach, that should be 2 generators coming out soon. And that should be Nokron taking a clean 3-0 here.
Yeah, absolutely. And given the strong chase at the start, My Socks has had to just force himself to go for these chases and get these people off the gens, because it's all he can do. But this is 4 powerful survivors. It's not just one. It's such an insurmountable task that he's got to face, and nothing seems to be connecting right now. It's absolutely going disastrous, and like you said, I think this is going to be the win secured. I mean, it's just a matter of time. That's going to be the 3rd gen popping now. He cannot let any further gens go, but you've only got 1 stage on the board so far. Gets a nice little bound there onto Zaka, but playing this chase into this side of the map is just a matter of time now until that 4th gen pops. Gets a nice little mind game on Zaka. Nice decent chase. But is it enough? You have 3 stacks of pain res left to use. Do you even make it to this hook in time? We're shaking our head at Zynox over there.
Yeah, I was thinking for a second, maybe they now also start taking body blocks here. And maybe they are now pulling the bully swift out, but that's going to be the rescue in time. No trade. Perfect timing here. Ivan taking the aggro. Sock my socks, not able to get the down right here. Would have been huge to jump from the hill all the way towards the main building. Zynox getting interrupted on the generator here. Now the only danger that I see is that Nokron gets a little bit too confident. So far it does still look very organized, but we have seen a few examples also in season 10, right? Sometimes you feel like it's only 1 more generator, so we can be a little bit more confident, and then it's backfiring a little bit. But Zynox here with a great chase as well, pulling the killer all the way towards the bottom side. Difficult mind game, goes for it, and ladies and gentlemen, there's the decision. Now is the question, will it be a 2-0 or a 3-0? But the winner is decided. Nokron taking it, ladies and gentlemen, and that also means that Nokron is with 12 points and a clean 4-0 at the top of the standings.
Yeah, congratulations to them. It's got to feel good, especially when you know your competitors in the top 4 have already taken set ties, set losses. So that's going to set them up so nicely going further into the group stage. But what an awesome showing. And I mean, if you would have asked me at the start, you know, which team were going to be taking a clean sheet, I honestly wouldn't have said Nokron, to be honest, but they've really surprised me. And I guess how they measure up against those top teams later into the league season, if they can double down on this absolutely insane performance so far in Season X, then, you know, it's going to be really nice to see. And just not measuring the distance properly there, going to take a bit of a whiff, but following at the M2, are they going to get that last gen done? And really, you can't commit too much to chases because of how little time he has. They're going to be working all of these gens together. These last gens, Ivan taking an injury. We have the Ouroboros and injuries on 2 survivors. Zach remains healthy, but as each second goes by, we're getting closer to that 3-0 dire.
Closer and closer towards the 3-0 indeed.
Just having fun.
Ivan getting the pallet back up for the 1v1 in the corner here. It's good to see the teams being friends with each other. Oh. Well, if you are this confident and you go for the any means necessary play, and then you are getting clapped like this, that's a move by Sock here. That was good. Final generator coming out while we're watching this friendly interaction here between the 2 teams. Very good to see that. Obviously, you can imagine a lot of these players scrimming and practicing with each other throughout the week. So beautiful ending of this set here. We had a lot of fun, a very entertaining match between these 2 teams. And one thing we have to say, as much as Nokron deserves credit because they win 3-0 and they are at the top of the standings, so I don't think we need to highlight that they deserve credit. Seraph made it very entertaining. We had some close matches and they played a lot better than the 3-0 sounds like.
Yeah, and I think that's been the theme throughout. I don't think we've really had any dominating performances. Like, there's not too many to speak of. I feel like all of the sets that we've encountered have been relatively close. At least from my point of view and what I've seen so far, these sets are so close. These teams are so measured up to each other. Getting Zaka there and the rest of the team leaves, but yeah, Rio, impressive to see, but yeah, just it's a contest, you know. It's definitely a close contest than maybe it appears, but yeah, Nokron, I think only dropping one set so far in the tournament, tying another, but other than that, it's been absolutely flawless from them.